Good afternoon, everyone. I guess it's officially afternoon now. Thank you for joining us. Before I get started, I do want to note that this session is being recorded and it will be made available on our YouTube channel. So if you have any questions about that, please just let me know. I think I know everyone who's here today, but if not, I'll introduce myself. My name is Bailey Sterling. I am the Technology and LIS Coordinator for NNLM Region 3. Today, I'm thrilled because we'll be seeing the NNLM Region 3 Fall Internship Final Presentations. Our interns will be showcasing the work that they have done with our office over the course of the last semester. In addition to all of you wonderful supportive staff of NNLM Region 3 and of Lewis Library, we do have with us today Dan Burgard, University Librarian and Vice Provost for Scholarly Information Management and Director/PI for NNLM Region 3. Brian Leaf, Executive Director of NNLM Region 3, and Dr. Anna Cleveland, Sarah Law Kennerly Endowed Professor and Director of the Health Informatics Program at UNT. Dr. Cleveland is a longtime friend of our office and a longtime friend of many of you, and has served as academic advisor to these students over the course of their internships. Without this partnership, our internship program would not exist as it does today. So I want to extend a special thanks to Dr. Cleveland. Thank you for your guidance and support. Did you have anything that you would like to add before we get started?
Thank you, Bailey, very much. Welcome everyone, and I'm very pleased to see the attendance. And I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank UNT Health Sciences Center with Dan Burgard as the executive director and all his titles, for always giving us an opportunity for North Texas, the University of North Texas, to have a partnership with them. And then specifically, I want to mention the National Network of Library of Medicine, Region 3, under the leadership of Brian Leaf, that we would not have this wonderful, absolutely, internship program that we have developed in the last year. I mean, as a continuation of previous ones, but I think that we have changed some of the format. So we're very, very appreciative to the contribution that y'all make to the educational process of our students. Also, there are many people in the audience that it would be hard to mention that have contributed through the years to interns. And so thank you for that. And Bailey, now that you are heading this program as one of our graduates, we're very pleased that you have taken this leadership role. Thank you.
That's my pleasure, Dr. Cleveland. Thank you so much. So I'll go ahead and breeze through this. I know most of you know most of this information. We are NNLM, focused on, we're the field force at the National Library of Medicine, and we're focused on health literacy, progress in the field of medicine, and improving public health. We are Region 3, which is this green region here. And we are the regional medical library for the 7-state region. Regional medical libraries serve as the headquarters of a region, spearheading and managing outreach efforts, and each RML serves in 5-year cycles. We are based at the same library where many of you work, the UNT HSC Lewis Library. We serve Arkansas, Louisiana, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Texas. We served as an RML of a slightly different region from 2016 to 2021, and are now serving as RML of Region 3 for 2021 to 2026. One of our primary focuses in this performance cycle, this 5-year performance cycle, is upping our student engagement game. There's so much talent in our region, and we really want to be able to interact more with the next generation of medical librarians and folks interested in health informatics. So today, you will hear from our 2021 fall interns, Admir Redzematovic and Marco Martinez, both from the University of North Texas. Admir and Marco have been working diligently all semester to complete their robust projects. Their substantial efforts have opened doors for future NNLM Region 3 outreach efforts and have allowed us to assess new avenues we can take to connect with the varied populations in our region. In addition to their professional and academic responsibilities, they have consistently met with Region 3 staff to carry out their internship activities. They also had the opportunity to attend professional development training. Many of you went to the Plain Language Workshop last month with these students and other students who are currently engaged with NNLM Region 3 programming. These presentations today fulfill Admir and Marco's final obligations to our internship program. Admir will share with you the data visualization he created that illustrates invasive cancer incidence and social determinants of health in Texas. And Marco will go over the semester-long process of scanning and understanding the VA library system in Texas, along with an assessment of outreach opportunities. Each presentation will be followed by a Q&A, specifically with Dr. Cleveland, and then we'll open the floor to everyone else for questions and comments. With that, I will go ahead and hand things over to Admir.
Perfect. Are you all able to see this slide? Okay. So the project title was Cancer Incidence Statistics with Socioeconomic Indicators. And the primary focus of this project was focusing on visualizing cancer incidence in Texas, as well as providing some useful data for outreach in priority areas within Texas. And I want to start off by giving a big thanks to Dr. Cleveland for connecting me with NNLM and giving me a chance to take on the project. Also, thanks to Bailey and Brian for providing me with the tools necessary to accomplish my goal and giving me proper guidance throughout the semester. A little bit about myself. So my name is Admir Redzematovic. I'm a current student at UNT studying information science and a former student from UTD where I studied information technology. And that is also currently the field that I'm working in, is cybersecurity, information technology. So the purpose of the project and the goal. So while taking on the project, I wanted to sort of create a visualization that could potentially offer NNLM and its users some insight on what counties within Texas require as far as healthcare and information outreach. So this was accomplished by creating an interactive visualization based on data concerning socioeconomic indicators. So a little bit about the tool itself. It's called ArcGIS Story Maps, and it's formerly known as Esri. So this company has a plethora of GIS tools that you can use. The one that I used particularly was Story Maps. So it was a wonderful tool for developing a visualization. If you are sort of aiming for simplicity and ease of access, it's the perfect tool to begin with. It allows users to organize data just like a traditional GIS solution. But the biggest benefit, in my opinion, is that it's completely on the cloud and there's no actual software packaging you have to download. And it's really easy to share. So you could just send somebody a link and they could view your story map. So I want to talk a little bit about the method that I approached for tackling this project. So the way that I managed to piece everything together is by gathering data reports from credible registries, such as the Texas Cancer Registry. Actually, Texas Cancer Registry was one of the main proponents because it offered the most, I guess, up-to-date and recent data of cancer incidences. And in order to do this, I needed to have a clear understanding of what socioeconomic deprivation actually was and its effect on health literacy. So in brief, socioeconomic deprivation is a multidimensional concept as it refers to the relative disadvantage an individual or social group experiences in terms of access and control over economic, material, or social resources and opportunities. So a study that I looked at, it was titled Correlation of the Ratio of long name here, correlation of the ratio of metastatic to non-metastatic cancer cases with degree of socioeconomic deprivation among Texas counties. This study really helped me to kind of zone in and really understand what certain proportions of the populations might be facing as far as obstructions to health literacy research. And I want to thank Dr. Cleveland for pointing me to this study. I think this study was actually one of the most helpful studies in my project. So some of the challenges that I faced. So one of the big challenges was data limitations and inconsistencies. Oftentimes data isn't 100%. It's just, most of the time it could be either estimates or just the best data that's collected based off of the resources that were available at the time. And another challenge is actually learning to use the software itself. So I spent a lot of time reading about it, watching tutorials, because I have no prior experience with GIS. So this was a great opportunity for me to learn and to actually get some hands-on experience with some real data science tools. And the next difficult part was understanding common limitations and variables for outreach. There was a lot of searching done to understand exactly what those boundaries were that would stop somebody from gaining access to health-related information. And then the most time-consuming aspect, and another really challenging aspect as well, was oftentimes the data collected did not have exact pinpoint geolocations of hospitals and libraries, for example. So I would have to go back and manually search where they were located and map them on the map individually, one by one. So I want to talk about some of the social determinants of health. And these are also going to be visible within the project, as well as variables. Income level, that's a big one. Transportation access, education attainment, technology access, and living conditions. There was a large portion of the population that was living alone and with no family members or nobody to watch them. And another aspect would be community and environmental factors. So the process that I underwent to develop this included gathering the data, cleaning the data up so that it could be uploaded. I also had to select a base map to work on top of. And luckily ArcGIS had a lot of templates for maps. So I was able to find Texas with the counties separated. And I would add the data layers, and then I would fill in the custom attributes and keys. So some of the main keys that I used were, so for example, the county to point to the county, and then to point towards a percentage or a number based off of the population. So here's one of the comparisons that the visualization allowed us to make. So using the original cancer incidence map as a reference, we can see how areas with a higher concentration of hospitals can correlate with a lesser degree of cancer occurrence. So I find that this comparison can be one of the most impactful in showing the results of high medical availability. As we can see from the map, where there was a larger amount of hospitals available, there was a lot less cancer incidences reported. Here's another one that was pretty impactful as well, is the importance of health information availability. So as a possible variable to cancer prevention, once again, we can see that in the areas where there was a higher concentration of public libraries and information resources, there was a supposed decrease in cancer occurrences. Now I want to move over to the actual project itself and kind of give a brief demonstration of how it's interactive and what it can showcase and the sort of comparisons we can make with it. So let me switch over to that real quick for you. All right. So this is the story map. So first thing I have listed is the Texas cancer occurrence rates map, and I made sure to separate it based off of the regions that the DSHS provides. And as we can see, looks like the most cancer occurrence rates occurred in region 2-3 and 4-5N, with the highest shading of red. So the darker the shading of red, the more occurrence occurs. And as you zoom in, you can see that it'll show precisely the occurrence rate. And this is, and just to clarify, this map represents cancer occurrences except for cancer, skin cancer occurrence rates. So everything excluding the skin cancer. So you can see that the sort of data that it would show would be adults age 18 years or older. There's an 8.5 with 95% CI, and 6.5 relatively for the other side in 2018. This map is based off of the 2018 data set. And then the next variables I have listed here are the cancer incidence by race. So I felt that it might be important to kind of look at the underrepresented populations and kind of, for data sakes, look at a comparison between different age, sex, and racial demographics. And this is one of my favorite maps out of the whole GIS project. And this is the hospital mapping. So you could actually zoom in, and I put the original legend, the cancer occurrence rate, just as a reference point. So you could look at, once again, which areas had the most invasive cancer occurrences and where the highest concentration of hospitals are. So if you zoom in, you could actually click on a hospital, and it'll show you the name of the hospital, as well as some other metadata and which county and which city they're located in. And this is also the Texas Libraries map. So if you're wondering what the purple to green represents, so the purple represents population basically reducing from 2017 to 22. So based off of this map, we can see that more people are moving away from the outlying regions of Texas and moving more towards the cities. And so I think that this map might be especially useful as far as outreach and research to NNLM, because you could actually, I've geo-mapped all the library locations, and you can click into there, for example, and see the name of the library, as well as where it's located, the address, and even the phone number is included. And there's also other various sorts of data that you can use to pinpoint the library and assess its resources. This is another pretty impactful one that I made. So I added a little slider here so you can see the difference between, this is households with people living alone. So this is male versus female. And this was another big variable in the cancer incidence occurrences. So we find that in areas where there's a lot more people living alone with no care or overseers, there was a slightly higher increase in cancer occurrence. So if we click on a random county here, we can see, so this is Gillespie County, and 19.40% of the households were females living alone. So that's a significant portion. And if we slide this over, we get the male counterpart as well. So 11% of total households were male householders living alone. And some of the other variables that I added, I pretty much use the same keys throughout here, just the key pointing to the county and another key pointing to the actual percentage or data itself for each variable. So other variables I have in the map, just to showcase, is housing units with no bedroom, vehicle availability, telephone connectivity, income and poverty levels, unemployment rates, computer access. So I have all sorts of different variables that you can measure and see and correlate to the cancer incidence occurrences. And these are variables that I thought would be the most important. So that's pretty much, that pretty much concludes my project. There's about 12 or 13 GIS maps here that you can actually navigate through and check out yourself. I can post a link within the chat if you want to check it out. And I'd like to open the floor to any questions at this point.
Thank you, Admir.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I was going to say is, would you mind sharing a link in the chat? So I think that would be great. This is a project that's full of really useful information that I think that everyone in this call will find useful in one way or another. Dr. Cleveland, did you want to go ahead with your questions for Admir, and then we will open the floor to everyone else?
Thank you, Bailey. First of all, I want to thank Admir for his excellent work. But before we go into that, since we are recording, I want to just say that when a student at UNT, in part of the health informatics program, enroll in an internship, one of the requirements, it is that there is an exit interview. And the exit interview consists of a presentation, benefits gained, lessons learned, and any recommendation. And this is done in collaboration with the host site, with the person who directs the internship, as well as anyone else that is working with the student in a particular project. So the presentation actually is done in partnership and under the supervision of the supervisor of the site. So for that, I want to take this opportunity to thank Bailey, because she has worked directly with both of the students that are presenting today, Amir as well as Marco. So with that brief introduction, I want to ask Amir, can you please share with the audience, what are the benefits that you feel you have gained from doing this internship at the National Network of Library of Medicine Region 3?
So some of the benefits that I would say were at the top of my list were actually getting to network with you guys, like networking with Bailey and Brian. It's really nice to meet you and to get to know you as well, and just sort of figure out what NNLM is all about and what your vision is. Another aspect would be, of course, getting hands-on experience with this data visualization software. I think it's a very important skill to have for any data scientist or information scientist to know how to use this particular piece of software, because we like to gather information and display it in a way that's coherent, so that people who are looking at it can draw distinctions and draw conclusions of their own.
I think all of those are actually some of the goals that we had really anticipated, right? That we set for this particular internship. So I have one more things, and I think you have done a very good job.
Thank you.
Presenting this. If you have one thing that you would like to tell us that surprised you on your findings of your study, what would it be? I mean, you have presented a lot of little nuggets of wonderful information and a lot of food for thought, actually, and a good representation of what is happening in Texas. But if there was some finding that surprised you, what would it be?
You know, there were so many findings that I couldn't possibly go over them all in this, brief 15-minute presentation. But I could tell you, it was pretty jaw-dropping when everything comes together. All the data is uploaded, the color codes are there, and then you put them side to side, and you see how important health literature outreach is, having public libraries available, having accessibility, and also the level of hospitals. I mean, in areas where there was much more concentration of hospitals, there was so much more less incidence of cancer. So I never thought that it would be this significant, and the data spoke for itself. So that was very surprising.
That's very good. I think, Bailey, thank you. I'm here for that. Actually, the public library came as a surprise to me as well, which is positive. Bailey, in the interest of time, I think we can let the recommendations, we can do that actually internally, and because I'm sure you want to open the floor for questions and see somebody want to do, so we can move afterward to Marco. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. And I will echo Dr. Cleveland's sentiment, Admir, it's really interesting to see all the data come together. Like you were saying, I think that that's the power of data visualization. And I think that your project really does a great job of showcasing what a tool like story maps can do for really serious data and data that can be really difficult to parse sometimes.
Absolutely.
At this point, I will give a minute or so for folks. If you want to unmute yourself, please feel free to go ahead if you have any questions or comments regarding Admir's project.
This is Dan. I just have a comment, not a question. I just want to thank Admir. I think when you consider the challenge in front of the RML as in identifying possible areas to work in across the 7-state region, Texas is big, but add 6 more states. And then how in the heck are we going to efficiently and effectively identify engagement partners or areas where we can have a lot of impact? This kind of use of data offers a clear path forward in that to make it much more efficient than us just randomly going out and visiting with individuals and organizations. So thanks for showing an example of how we could do that in a better way.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
And Debbie says in the chat, this was great and so interesting to see this data represented visually. Thank you for your work, Admir.
Thank you, Debbie. It was a pleasure.
And Michelle says, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying Michelle.
Michelle says, Admir, you mentioned that skin cancer incidences were not included and that individual public library data, including locations, are included. What was your strategy for decision-making related to what information to exclude or include? And was the data entered manually?
So the thought process between gathering the data is from the studies that I observed and the resources that I've come across. I believe that the Texas Cancer Registry possibly could have been the most accurate form of data that I could have collected. And most of the data sources with skin cancer occurrence were sort of inconclusive from what I found. And the only piece of data that I could say was entered manually was the so the keys to identify the county and the keys to identify the variable. Most of the data sets that I found had data already included. As far as manual inputs, I had to do a lot of manual inputs for the geolocations. So for the hospitals and for the library locations. So my strategy, to go further into it, my strategy for gathering the data was I wanted to make sure that I got it from the most credible sources, which are listed below the project. And I just didn't want to get data that was skewed or outdated.
Thanks, Admir. That's great. And I do want to add to that. I think that the cancer, this is something we discussed, Michelle, actually in one of our meetings with Admir, is that the skin cancer being excluded was just a limitation of the data. Admir made an executive decision to use the data sets that he used, which are great and authoritative, but for some reason they did exclude skin cancer, and so that was just a limitation of this data. Of course, if this is something that we built on in the future, that would be an avenue we would certainly want to explore. So thank you for bringing that up. I think unless anyone else had something they wanted to add real quick, we will go ahead and move on.
Perfect. Thank you guys for listening and watching my presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you, Admir. Great job. That really is just truly interesting. Data visualization never ceases to amaze me with kind of the links that it can help us to put together in our work. So next up, we have Marco Martinez. Marco, did you want to go ahead and can you share your screen? Are you able to?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marco Martinez, and today I'm coming to you from Dallas, Texas. I'd like to begin with by stating that this presentation is my work and solely for the purpose of this internship. I'd like to reach out and give special thanks to Mr. Brian Leaf and Bailey Sterling for their guidance and supervision during the entire semester in helping me complete this presentation. I'd also like to thank Ms. Melissa Farman, who at the time was working in the New Orleans area as a medical librarian with the VA there, who also referred me to Miss Nancy Clark, which is the director and located in Arlington, Texas. And a special thanks to Dr. Anna Cleveland, the director, who permitted me to get into this position to begin with. Now, why was I considered for this position? One of the reasons was that of my military background. I am a U.S. Army veteran of 20 years. I served in the infantry as an enlisted soldier and an officer. And since my discharge, I have used the VA system pretty much for all my medical needs. I'm currently a graduate student at the University of North Texas and majoring in the Master of Science of Library Science. And so I was able to qualify or be selected for this internship with the NNLM. So my objective was to conduct an outreach of the VA Region 3, located within the Region 3, and identify persons that would be able to liaison with resource opportunities between them and the NNLM. So these efforts were to develop a foundation and implement strategies to assist the library and the information specialists there. Currently, the Veterans Health Administration is celebrating 75 years of service, and this began about at the end of World War II. And in 1988, then President Reagan elevated it to the cabinet status it is today. So in order to use the VA, who qualifies as a veteran? The veteran, to be a veteran, you must have served in the military, naval service, air service, and discharge under conditions other than dishonorable. In general, there are three types of libraries within the VA system. You've got the medical, the patient, and the consumer health. And it is the largest healthcare library network in the United States. It's called the Veterans Affairs Library Network and more abbreviated to VALNet. And it's responsible for providing information regarding clinical research and education. It also provides the necessary services for the veterans' inpatients, their families and caregivers, the VA staff, employees, and students and trainees. And overall, they are supported by the Library Network Office. So why do we need to have the VALNet? Well, they saw that there was a need to centralize activities and resources. So now the VALNet controls, for the medical districts, all the resource allocation, and they're able to coordinate educational activities, as well as develop audiovisual software delivery systems. They maintain the medical libraries in all the VA locations, and the patient libraries primarily are used to furnish patient health education, vocational materials, as well as recreational materials. The medical library available to the VA is known as the VHA National Desktop Library. And it is an online medical library, but primarily only available to the staff because it does require that you be an employee and be able to access the intranet portion of the internet. For the veterans, they are referred to the Veterans Health Library, which provides health-related information to the veteran directly. Now, again, we were looking for outreach programs, and some of the outreach programs that already exist within the VA, the more popular ones are the smoking cessation, suicide prevention, programs to end veteran homelessness, and manners to deal with mental health related issues, and educational benefits. Probably for most people thinking about entering the military, the educational benefit is probably the biggest draw, and it's part of the GI Bill that veterans get upon release. Now, a lot of these outreach programs are not limited to the federal level. State and local outreach programs also exist. And more specifically, if we look at the colleges and universities, there's always some type of veteran representative on campus. And one of these benefits that we have here, specifically the Texas, is the Hazelwood Act. And this supplements the original GI Bill by providing an additional 150 credit hour tuition assistance so that the veteran can continue on their education and into the graduate program. Now, while most universities and colleges do have some type of veteran outreach, some colleges go above and beyond that basic providence. And one good example is the Austin Community College. And if you were to click on this link, you would be amazed by the amount of information and links that are provided to the veterans of this college. Now, while businesses are not really outreach programs, considered outreach programs, they do assist the veterans with many benefits. Big box stores like Lowe's and Home Depot provide veteran discounts year round. And organizations such as USAA and Navy Federal Credit Union are strictly for military and veterans and their families. So my strategy here was first to reach out to the libraries and identify people and staff responsible for those programs. And once I got in contact with them, well, I'd let them know a brief overview of some of the NNLM resources that were available. I would try to determine what needs that these health facilities had and gather the information and pass it on to my supervisors, so they could implement strategies to support the library and the information specialists. Unfortunately, this course of action did not meet my expectations. I was unable to locate individuals of these outreach programs because they're not really centrally located. And so I had to reassess. So after speaking with my supervisors at the NLM, they gave me a referral of Miss Melissa Foreman. And she was currently, at that time, was working in the New Orleans area for the VA. And she gave me a lot of insight on how to navigate the websites and who to try to get in contact within the VA system. And this led to a referral by Miss Nancy Clark. So with Miss Nancy Clark's assistance, I was able to compile the database for the 7 states corresponding to the Region 3. Based on my experiences during the semester trying to gather this information, I have written a white paper and developed a SWOT analysis. And this analysis is a situational assessment and analysis of my experiences in building this database. The strengths here lie with the fact that as a collective, veterans are well liked by the public. So any type of efforts to improve their benefits is easily received. There's also a strong outreach program in effect. So adding to that just makes it that much easier. The VA in general is a well-funded government agency and provides a lot of the benefits and medical care for the veterans. One of the things that I like most about the VA system is that in general, especially the medical centers, are one-stop shops. If I go visit a healthcare provider there, I'm able to get all my needs taken care of on site. If for some reason I need an x-ray or I need an eye exam or blood drawn, it's quickly typed into the computer, and I simply walk down the hall and get those needs taken care of. And in general, the online presence is very friendly. If you go to the Facebook page and Flickr, you'll see that they're loaded with all sorts of easy to use links that the veteran can quickly access. The weaknesses lie in the bureaucracy. Can't get anything done unless you make sure you have the proper paperwork. And even though websites are specific to each of the VA sites, VA hospital sites, they're not very user-friendly. Every time you click on one of the links, it sends you to the national level. And unfortunately, only the major medical centers are likely to contain libraries. And even then, that doesn't guarantee that they will have a library. The security protocols set up by government agencies make it difficult to locate and obtain information within the system. And the telephone access is very cumbersome. Now, the opportunities here, funding. Anytime you offer someone additional funding, they are usually pretty receptive to that. And it would benefit them in areas such as continuing education, because sometimes those programs can get a little stale, and providing a different perspective is beneficial to the staff involved. As databases continue to grow and become more expensive, providing additional databases that they may not have also assists their staff with accessing to critical information that is needed. And since not every location is going to have a library, maybe increasing the virtual librarian system might be a positive thing. This way, even the outlying areas would benefit by being able to speak to a librarian and get their information and medical needs taken care of that way. The threat here is, once again, the bureaucracy, but it's something, I guess, that will have to be worked around. Another problem is that some places do not have the libraries, so that means they do not have librarians. And in many cases, staff is tasked to replace doing their duties, which may or may not be a good thing, because they may not be qualified to perform as a librarian is. And so the older, and also we've got technology. Technology moves at a very fast pace, and the older veterans may have problem accessing some of this information because they may lack some of the computer skills. And in general, it's just not easy to speak to a person. So in conclusion, I realized that the best way to navigate the VA system is through networking. And again, once I met with Miss Nancy Farman, and she gave me a good insight to the workings of the VA, then things started to fall into place. And of course, once I connected with Miss Nancy Clark, well, then everything was able to conclude in a positive manner. So this concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Marco. Marco's presentation really does a good job highlighting a lot of the challenges that we met this semester just getting in touch with VA libraries. VA libraries are kind of dying away at an alarming rate, and then at an even more alarming rate, librarians at VA hospital libraries are dying off as well. So, you know, Marco did a lot of work to help us understand how we can better connect with VA hospitals and libraries and the best ways to approach networking. So we really appreciate that. And we certainly learned a lot this semester from Marco and from the work that he did. Dr. Cleveland, did you want to go ahead and ask your questions?
Thank you. Marco, thank you very much for your presentation. And I think that Bailey has really done also a good job about bringing some of these points and some of the challenges that you had during the semester. But let me ask you, like I asked Admir, because it's part of the exit interview. What have been the benefits that you have gained from this experience? What have you learned? One of the things that is so positive is because you are a veteran, and so you have had an exposure to the veterinary administration system and perhaps not as involved in the library, but this has given you a perspective, right, to see things a little bit more in depth as an information professional. So what is it that you have learned from this?
One of the major things that I learned here was over the years, I've become maybe way too familiar with the VA system. As a patient or as a veteran and already within the system, well, I just take a lot of things for granted. But this internship required me to put on a different hat and see the VA from an outside standpoint. So trying to navigate the system as in that manner really opened my eyes to the fact that it's not so easy. And plus it also made me aware of that the size and scope of the military library system is a medical library system is huge. And throughout my career, my educational program at UNT, many of my friends have always asked me, well, why do you want to be a librarian? There's no need for librarians today. But this doing projects like this really opens up someone's eyes as to see what benefits that having a librarian in these type of positions can make. There's just so much information out there that you need someone that can really know how to navigate the system. So from that standpoint, I was just in awe throughout the whole semester as I learned about the NNLM, the medical librarian profession, and here in Dallas, it's very easy for someone to see that see UT Southwestern dominate the landscape. But having visited out to Fort Worth now, I see that now more and more other universities are major game players, so that the facilities out there in Fort Worth are very impressive. So I just had no idea that in the direction that this profession is going in.
Well, I'm very pleased to hear this. And also I want to put a plug. There is a VA, and I'm sure you know, in the Dallas area, which and they have a library, and they have been also wonderful partners of UNT. So before I go off, I think your benefits are going to be they have been, I think, excellent. I think what we need to think about is now that you have gained this knowledge, since you are part of that network yourself, how is it that you can be an agent of change and working with NNLM, Region 3 and the staff? How is it that, you can go forward with it and see how you can partner with it? So before I go off and Bailey take the, again, to say the floor, I want to thank you for your service. And I know that everyone here will say the same.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that.
Bailey?
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. And yes, Marco, thank you for your service. I'd like to open the floor now for anyone else who might have any questions or comments for Marco in particular.
Hi, it's Dan again. Marco already mentioned he came over just a few days ago and we had a lovely visit. And I think I told him then what I'll say now, which is the UNT Health Science Center and probably every other health science institution in the US or Canada, in the US, not Canada, in the US is looking to increase its outreach and engagement with the VA health system in general. Mm-hmm. And this kind of work that Marco just showed puts the library at the UNT Health Science Center or any other institution, puts the library out front beyond what the other units on our campus have even contemplated doing as far as analyzing how can they relate better to the VA. So, if I take that kind of info and show it to my boss, the provost, then that puts the library to the front of the line in his mind as far as what units on campus are being very intentional and identifying opportunities. So thanks, Marco, for doing that, both specifically and generically that concept applies, I think.
Thank you, sir.
And I think that you have said a very good point. I think we have to understand the system and the library system before there can be some action to make change. And so I think that that's been definitely one of the contributions of Mark. Well said.
Thank you.
If I can piggyback both of those comments, I will say that Marco's project has directly stimulated additional collaboration with the North Texas VA. So as a direct result of his efforts, we've been in conversation and we're in the process of developing new projects with the VA system. And we're all very excited about that. And then, not to jump around too much, but both Admir and Marco's projects, even during this presentation, even though I've been sort of with them over the past couple months, hearing about their project, their presentations have given me additional ideas on what more we could do. So it's really exciting to have heard both presentations and to continue to get inspiration out of them. So thank you both for all your work. It's been fantastic having you, and it's I think with this first year of our performance cycle, it's really paving the way for the future of this internship program. Just glad to see it all happen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I do want to add that Debbie said our team, like Brian was just saying, our team is very excited about fostering a partnership with the VA. Thank you for your presentation, Marco. And Michelle Whitehead says, great work. I think your project really illustrates the barriers so many encounter in seeking care. As a veteran, I'm sure you already have wonderful ideas of how to better reach this group. And then just general comments, just great job from Iram and from Katie and from Jen. These are really interesting presentations. And from just speaking personally, I love that they were so different. I'm glad that we could bring to y'all today two, wildly different projects and wildly different presentations from students that are kind of working on things that will benefit them professionally moving forward and in areas that they are currently have an interest. So that's something that's really important to us in internships, is that our students are pursuing things that are interesting to them and relevant to them. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen really quickly. So we have addressed comments and questions specifically for each intern. Did anyone have any general comments or questions at this time?
I do have a final comment for closure.
Okay, wonderful.
So I wait and see if there's any questions, and then I just want to make a comment on behalf of North Texas.
I don't see anything additional except for just praise and thanks to both of the interns. Great work today. Dr. Cleveland, if you wanted to go ahead. I do have one more housekeeping slide after this, but if you wanted to go ahead and proceed with your comments, please feel free.
Thank you, Bailey. First of all, I want to thank both students for the quality of their work. You have been wonderful ambassadors for the University of North Texas and for our Department of Information Science and our programs. Also, I want to take once again the opportunity to thank Dan Bogart, because we have a long history of partnership and support. And like Michelle Whitehead is here, who really for a number of years has supervised also interns in the library. But we cannot close this program without giving a big handshake and a big thanks to Brian Leaf, because every time that I have reached out to him and we talk about this internship, which again, we have had a history of it, he was so receptive to new ideas, to bring innovation to it, and was open to bring a diversity of students. We're about to embark in another internship now with the third student in this program. So to you, Brian, I want to say thank you for always being open to new ideas. And mostly, we appreciate your contribution to library education in general and specifically to the University of North Texas. Mil gracias. Bailey, I'm through.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. All right. Admir and Marco, you did it. Yay! Congratulations. I wish we were meeting in person so you could hear the applause that y'all definitely deserve. And I know you would be getting from all the people attending here. Thank you both so much for sharing your talents with us throughout this semester. Although internship activities are coming to a close, we look forward to collaborating on future projects with y'all. I will echo Dr. Cleveland's sentiment. Y'all both put forth exceptional work that has been truly beneficial to our office. And I promise you, we learned as much from you as you learned from your work this semester. I hope now that you're able to take even just a brief moment to take a deep breath and celebrate all of your accomplishments. Before we depart, I do just want to share with y'all some of the student engagement opportunities that we do have. Here at the top, LAS Fall Development Award, we offer this award. We have offered it in the past to fund attendance to SCC MLA. Because we do have states that are part of MCMLA, a different chapter, in future years, we hope to extend opportunities for students to attend those conferences as well, or that conference as well. So that comes up every fall. In addition, we are, as Dr. Cleveland and Brian both mentioned, working on making this internship program a robust, consistent offering every fall. We do have an intern with us now who will be with us through the end of April. So she will give a presentation at the end of April on the work that she is doing that is also data science centered. And then after that, we will offer 2 internship positions each fall, or at least that's what we're hoping to do. And then lastly, we have a communications assistant position open right now. That is a great job opportunity for current grad students who are looking for part-time work in medical librarianship, outreach, and community engagement. So if you have any questions about that, please just let me know. Otherwise, I just want to express my gratitude to everyone who is here today. We appreciate that you came to hear these presentations. This was a great opportunity for these students to present, but also a great opportunity to kind of hear what's coming up the pipeline and what the next generation of medical librarians and librarians in general are thinking about. If you have any further questions or comments, please, shoot me an email. And with that, please feel free to go. Thank you so much and have a great weekend.
Thanks for watching. This video was produced by the network of the National Library of Medicine. Select the circular channel icon to subscribe to our channel, or select a video thumbnail to watch another video from the channel.